ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What Tactics, the show that features World of Tanks replays from the sublime to the ridiculous, the heroic to the hilarious, and everything in between. So, without further ado, let's get started. Our first replay has been sent in by KindaBlueBone, who is driving the AT2, the Tier 5 British tank destroyer. The AT2 is the first heavily armoured tank destroyer in the British tech tree and sets the tone for the tank destroyers that come after it all the way to the Tortoise at Tier 9. So, analysing her team list and the enemy team, we can see that there's some really good players actually, particularly the OI Experimental on her side and the BT7 Artillery. And on the enemy team, we're looking at the KV1, the OI Experimental and the Chi-Ha. Now, KindaBlueBone is going for the 8 line here, which is normally occupied by heavy tanks. So, in many respects, it's exactly the sort of position the AT2 needs to go. The hill may not be the best thing for it, because it's not the quickest tank in the world. KindaBlueBone has trundled all the way up the 8 line without any resistance whatsoever, and he's going to try and take out this M37, but he's beaten to the punch by the BT7 Artillery. Now, all of the British TDs from Tier 5 to Tier 9 are very slow, well armoured, but the armour doesn't get any better until the AT-15 at Tier 8, with the gun shooting back at it possessing higher penetration. So the AT-2 is seen by many as the sweet spot on the TD line, especially when it's top tier. However, the tank isn't without its weaknesses, particularly that Victoria sponge of a cupola, which is 102mm, which if it's hit square on, can be penetrated by Tier 5 guns. The 6-pounder gun, which is the top gun for this tank, does have a high rate of fire, with an average alpha of 75, but the penetration is perhaps a little lacklustre at 110 with its standard AP rounds. APCR does take this up to 180, but it would get very expensive very quickly to use them. Still, I would recommend carrying a few rounds for more heavily armoured targets, and particularly if you get into higher tiers. So far, it's been an uneventful game really for KindaBlueBone. She's driven all the way up the 8 line, along the B line, and into the cap circle, and hasn't really done a huge amount. But that's all about to change as she spots an OI Experimental who has very, very good stats. 2,309 WN8. Gets a good shot to the Panzer IV-H. Getting to the OI, and another one. Right, KV1. Critical. Didn't pen. Oh, this is frustrating. 300 metres. She manages to get one in, but it gives you some of the idea of the frustrations of this gun. When you're shooting at range and you're losing penetration because of it, even the side of a KV1 can be a struggle. But at that angle, yeah, certainly up with that shot. Oh, but sets him on fire and gets the kill. Nicely done. Meanwhile, the BT7 Artillery on her team, who's also a very good player, is in a bit of a tight spot. He's got a KV1 in front of him and an OI Experimental now coming up the 3 line. Now the OI Experimental has just had another shot taken in. So the BT7 Artillery advances. Snapshots but misses. OI Experimental comes back. Oh, come on. Can you take him out? No. The OI Experimental takes out the BT7 Artillery. So back to KindaBlueBone's perspective as she opens up on this KV1. Gets one in, but bounces. And again. And again. Yeah, that KV-1's pretty well angled, but he's not shooting at the weak spot. She's trying for the turret. No, but she finds the weak spot. But then she returns to auto-aim. Wow, that was a lot of shots, but it gives you an idea of the rate of fire. So now it's her and the Chinukai facing an OI experimental and a KV-1. And she's done 740 damage, which is not too bad considering the alpha of this gun. So she's now chasing the OI experimental, but the KV-1 is behind her. And I'm amazed that so far the KV-1 has an open fire, and she manages to block a HE round from the OI experimental. Takes the KV-1 out by setting him on fire, and actually gets praised by her team, which is lovely to see. So, this is it now. 1v1. So, let's see how this plays out. So she backs up at this point. The OI experimental probably is going to break contact at some point once they've figured it out. But she moves back to the cap circle, which is probably the right thing to do. But of course this is encounter, so it's going to take a very long time on her own to cap this game out. In fact, over 3 minutes. Now the OI experimental is making the move, but it's such a huge tank. Managed to get one in, but then gets a 0 damaging hit. So now the OI experimental is down to 87. 900 damage done by an AT2, which is lovely. Still, she stays in this cap circle, defending it with all her might. Now, she's doing probably the right thing here. She's sort of manoeuvring in such a way that if the OI pops out to the left or to the right, she can easily turn and traverse to the point where she can get a shot in. But still, this is tense moments in the battle. Nothing yet. Hasn't proximity detected the OI. Oh, there he is. Come on, turn, turn. Oh, experimental misses, and she manages to get a shot into the Japanese Tier 5 heavy tank. Now, the OI experimental is not as strongly armoured as the OI at Tier 6. It gets 75mm armour at the front and 70 at the side. But the best place to shoot it is actually just above the tracks in order to penetrate, because the tracks count as 35mm of spaced armour. Okay, proximity detects the OI experimental. The Birch is saying hunt in an AT2? Are you kidding? It's not exactly the quickest tank in the world. Mind you, neither's the OI experimental to a certain degree. But I do believe it's much quicker than the AT2 is. So actually, staying in the cap circle is exactly the right thing to do here. Now, this proves another thing, and it's one thing I'll always point out. No matter the statistics of a player on your team, never underestimate them. Here, you've got a player that has below average statistics at 443 WN8. But look at the damage and look at the current estimated WN8. Yeah, that's right, folks. Unicum. And anyone is capable of a Unicum game. It's just how often you're capable of doing it. But she's getting really well praised by her team, which is so heartwarming. Because normally the chat descends into a lot more criticism than that. So she bounces one from the OI. Nah, she's not going to get a shot from there. Not with the OI in hard cover. But she's nearly capped this one out. It's getting pretty close. Again, hiding behind this building. Putting some hard cover between herself and the OI experimental. And she manages to cap this one out. Now for our second replay. This is HanW in the Panzerjager I, the German Tier 2 tank destroyer. HanW is going to prove to you again that just because you have below average stats doesn't mean you can't have a Unicum game. The difference is how often it happens depending upon your ability. This particular tank destroyer is not very well armoured, but it does have a rapid firing 4.7cm gun, capable of firing a shot every 2.5 seconds with an excellent 1.7 second aiming time. It has a reasonable speed too at 40 km per hour and a 36-degree traverse. So in that respect it's the polar opposite to the 82 in terms of armour and mobility. So here we are on mines from the northern spawn, and she's taking up a very traditional tank destroyer spot at around A4. Now just looking at teams, yeah, good mix of players on either side, including a couple in an Igo Chiro, whatever that tank is. She's trying to get some shots up to the middle, but at the moment there aren't any tanks playing ball. So while there is a fight developing in front of her, unfortunately she's not got any shots on anything, although why is there an artillery slap bang in the middle? She tries to get a shot on him, but misses. Yeah, that's a very weird position for an artillery. And then a T1 is coming up unopposed at A6. And then she spots a T18. Good shot into the side. And again, oh, down to 6. No. Misses out on the kill. Good shot on the Igo Chiro. Enemy vehicle destroyed. And takes him out. Ooh, bit too much lead on that BT2. I'm surprised they're not spotting her, because although she's behind a bush, she's close enough that she could be spotted when she fires the gun. She's looking around, but nothing yet. Panzer II. Enemy vehicle destroyed. Beautiful. That was practically a snapshot as well. Oh, hello, artillery. Yes. Thank you very much. Nice kill still. As the T1 is still along this cliff. Now, be careful, because it's probably proximity detecting you right now. But fortunately, T1 gets taken out by the Igo Chiro. Okay, so not much left to shoot at, so cliff dives the proper way. Looks like most of the enemy team are defending their base. At which point, she takes an interesting and novel approach here. She actually decides to go up the eastern flank. I think I probably would have actually gone up to the central donut and taken shots from there. The main reason is that once you round the corner, you can be taken out very, very quickly indeed. Let's see if the enemy team have had their dose of espresso today. Oh, hello, AT1. Ah, not paying attention. Beautiful. Good shot. Yeah. And that's kill number 4. Very nicely done. Okay. So, M2 and T26, again, not paying attention. Oh, good shot. Beautiful. Top Gun, come on. Yes! Nicely done. Okay, what does that leave? T2 and an Igo Chiro. Sounds like that tank should be a hybrid or something from the name of it. Nope, misses out on the kill there. So, last tank alive. T2. Last spotted at K6. Right, so she's putting the speed to the test on this Panzerjager I. And she's reaching speeds that AT2s can only dream of. Our team's reckoning the T2 medium will run. Well, she's looking over at the base. Hasn't spotted him yet. Oh, hello. There he is. Come on. Come on. Ah, he's in cover. Tries to take a shot. Yes. Beautiful. Okay, she's trading 1 for 1, but she can afford it. Beautiful. For kill number 7, an expected WN8 of over 3,000. We just have time for one more replay, so let's go out with a bang. This is SirPete1UK in his Waffletracror E100. As you can see, it's about a third of his team and the enemy team are all tier 10. And actually there's some very good players on both sides, apart from the lurver on the enemy team. Now, the Waffletracror has a devastating reputation, particularly with its rate of fire once this gun is actually loaded. But depending upon your crew, it can take well over 30 seconds to reload it, especially when you're using the 150mm, which is exactly what SirPete is using. Now, he was going to go down to the western side of the map, but having looked at the amount of heavy tanks going that way, decides instead to travel east and look after the rest of his team heading over to the Magic Forest. So, as far as team balance is concerned, his team has got slightly more heavy tanks, which means they're slightly less mobile. But they do also have the health pool. Well, I'm not sure who hit that T49, but he hasn't got much health left at all on the enemy side. Okay, Pete's been spotted, but we don't know by what yet. E4's going ahead. Oh, okay, so they found a Conqueror. But not much else. And the heavy tanks, I don't know if they're just cowering behind the tier 10 tank destroyer, or they just don't want to go forward and set up an ambush. Right, so SirPete is now in position. Takes a quick shot at the Panzer E100. Bounces. Ooh. Takes a hit from the STA-1 and ducks into cover. While the Waffletracror may have the hull of the E100, that turret is incredibly vulnerable to attack. Nothing over to the east side to shoot at. There's a Jagdpanzer E100 advancing. He's been spotted. Can he get a shot in? Nope. But he manages to bounce one from the Conqueror. Meanwhile, this Jagdpanzer is in a bit of a sticky situation now. He has an IS-3 behind him, a Tiger 2 to the side, and a 110 advancing. But somehow, miraculously, the 110 gets taken out, probably by the Conqueror on the hill. The IS-3 is getting pummeled, while the E-100 miraculously survives up to that point when the 110 manages to plant a shell right into the back. IS-3 gets himself tracked. Another shot in again.
Enemy is hit.
And gets taken out. Now, while all that was happening, SirPete manages to finally get a shot side onto the Conqueror and nail him for 760 damage as the Conqueror gets taken out by the 110. Okay, 2 shells remaining. Oh, he's spotted again.
Track hit.
Manages to bounce one from the Black Prince.
Enemy is hit.
Oh, nice high roll. And again, taking the Black Prince out. So, scores are quite nicely even at the moment at 8-8. There's quite a fight still going on the western side. But there's still a bat chat somewhere lurking. STA-1 plants one in. And is on full health.
We're stuck here. We didn't even scratch them.
Manages to block the shot, but that one bounces. Oh, come on. Manages to get a good one into the STA-1 as he tries to snapshot into the Waffletracror. Okay, 2 remaining. Come on. Yes. Brilliant. Oh, hang on. Bat chat spotted. Come on. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to get the shot? Nothing yet. He's been spotted. Where are you, Batchat? He's obviously engaged his Klingon cloaking device at this point. Oh, there he is. Manages to get a shot into him. But the Batchat has taken him down to perilously low health, with 202 left. Now, I'm sure a moment ago we had loads of Allied tanks on the western side, but they've all been taken out. So that leaves a Panzer E-100 and SirPete's Waffletracror to carry this game. And yet the enemy has an STI, an IS-5 and a T-71. So you'd think, just by the tank composition, the enemy team have got this in the bag. You'd think that, but you may not necessarily be right. But as you can imagine, SirPete is playing fairly cautiously at this point, and I don't blame him. He's on 202 health, but manages to land a fantastic shot on the STI, taking him out. So we know that one tank is in the cap circle. So the Panzer E-100 is going to scout forward. That seems to be the sensible decision, considering that the Panzer is on way more health than SirPete is. Now, SirPete is actually a regular streamer to Twitch, so you can always catch his World of Tanks gameplay there as well. So the IS-5 and T-71 is spotted. Oh, one-shots! The T-71 for 840. Wow. IS-5? Thank you and good night. So there you go. It just goes to show that sometimes tank destroyers can carry. So, a great result there for SirPete1UK. He got a first class mastery badge, bruiser, duelist, 5 for effect, high caliber, tanker sniper, and also the Top Gun medal. Although, to be fair, I have to say, Wargaming, you're drunk. Seriously. Come on, first class? Really? Considering he did 6,085 damage. And that wasn't good enough for an ace. Really? Wow. I think, if you ask me, SirPete, you were robbed. You really were, because that was very entertaining, particularly at the end of the game. He fired 11 shots in that game with 11 hits and 9 penetrations, with 6,085 damage, 2,500 of which was from a distance of 300 meters. With the premium account, after resupplying the ammunition and consumables, he made 28,000 credits. So, well played, and a lovely way to end this episode. So, we have seen a selection of TDs from tiers 2 to 10, all of which are Unicum games. In our next episode, we will feature the Kings of Derp. In the meantime, if you have a replay you think is entertaining, amazing, hilarious, or maybe there's someone on the battlefield who behaves in such a way to make you rage or scratch your head, upload it to whatreplays.com and send it with a description to mailbox@TboneIsGaming.co.uk, and you never know, I may feature you in an upcoming episode. I would like to thank you all for watching. Until next time, take care and enjoy your gaming. This is T-Bone logging off.